everyone, welcome. We are now in Unit 2, and this is TOC number 2. The objective for these notes is to solve two-step equations. So your essential question is, how do I solve two-step equations? Before we can solve these equations, we need to define what a constant is. A constant is a number that is on its own. So let's go ahead and write that. A way to help you remember the term constant and its definition is it's constantly alone. So go ahead and write that. Alrighty, what are the steps for solving a two-step equation? First, you're going to draw a vertical line through the equal sign. On the side with the variable, use the inverse operation, so the opposite, to get rid of the constant by addition or subtraction. Then you're going to use multiplication or division to isolate the variable, so this means get it by itself. And then you're going to circle your answer after setting the variable equal to the numeric answer. And it's really important for you guys to check your answer as well. All right, so the first thing that I need to do is draw a line through my equal sign. And then I need to look at the side that the variable is on. So y is our variable and it's on the left side of the equal sign. Okay, now I want to get rid of my constant. So I'm going to look for what number is alone just by itself. Doesn't have a variable attached to it, and that's that 4. So I'm looking at the symbol in front of it as well, so the +4. So in order to get rid of a +4, I got to do the inverse, the opposite. So I need to subtract 4. Whatever I do to one side, I also have to do to the other side. So I'm also going to subtract 4 on the right-hand side of the equal sign as well. If I have $4 and I spend $4, now I have $0. So these cancel out on the left-hand side. Now I'm going to bring my 5y down. 29 minus 4 gives me 25. Okay, so now I need to isolate my variable. So that means I need to get my variable by itself. Right now I have the 5 in front of the y. It's the coefficient. If these numbers are just right next to each other, that means that they're multiplying. So in order to get the variable, get y by itself, I need to do the opposite of multiplication. So that means I need to divide. And the number that I'm going to divide by is the number that's with the variable, and that is 5. So I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides. When I have 5 and I divide by 5, then I'm going to have y by itself. And then on the right-hand side, 25 divided by 5 is going to give me 5. So in this case, y equals 5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my answer, and this is great to do. This is optional, but it's great to do if you have extra time on a test or a quiz. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug 5 in for y. So let's go ahead and write the original equation. And now I'm going to plug my 5 in for y. And I want to make sure that it gives me a true statement. So I'm going to use my order of operations. So I'm going to multiply first. 5 times 5 gives me 25. And then 25 plus 4 gives me 29. And as you can see, it says 29 equals 29. So this works. An example of it not working would be like if it said 27 equals 29, which you know isn't true. So in this case, my answer is correct. Let's go ahead and try this one. I'm going to go ahead and draw that line through my equal sign. And my variable is on the left-hand side. My constant is the 13, because it's by itself. I also want to look at the symbol in front of it. So in the equation, we're subtracting 13. So in order to get rid of my constant, I want to do the opposite of this, which is adding 13. So I'm going to add 13 to the left-hand side. And whatever I do to that side, I also have to do to the right-hand side. So I'm also going to add 13 on the right-hand side. So if I'm in debt $13 and then I gain $13, then I'm kind of at a balance of 0. So these cancel out, and I'm going to copy everything else that's on the left-hand side of the equal sign. 7 plus 13 gives me 20. Okay, now I need to isolate the variable. The variable in this equation is c, and c is being divided by 2. So in order to isolate the variable, I need to do the opposite operation. So right now it's dividing, so that means I need to multiply by 2. So I'm going to multiply by 2. Whatever I do on the left side, I have to do on the right side. So I'm multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2 cancel out. And so I'm left with c on the left-hand side, and then 20 times 2 is going to give me 40. Over to the right in green, I'm going to check my work. Again, this is always encouraged, especially if you have extra time on a quiz or a test. So I'm going to plug 40 in for C. All right, so 40 divided by 2 gives me 20. And I'm going to go ahead and write the rest of the equation. 20 minus 13 gives me 7, and 7 equals 7. That's a true statement. So then I know that I got my answer correct. Let's do a few more examples. So the variable can be on either side of the equal sign. And with these two next examples, the variable is on the right-hand side. We're still going to treat it the same. So the first thing that you want to do is draw a line through the equal sign. And then let's look at the side that the variable is on. It's on the right-hand side. So that means my constant is also on that side, and it's constantly alone. So what I'm going to do is my constant is 2, and we're adding that 2. So to get rid of it, I want to do the inverse. So I'm going to subtract 2 on the right side and subtract 2 on the left side. And these are going to cancel out right here on the right-hand side. So then I'm going to go ahead and bring down my negative 5t. On the left-hand side, I have 7 minus 2, which gives me 5. So right now I have 5 equals negative 5t. Okay, I want to isolate my variable. Right now, my variable has a coefficient. If it has a coefficient, that means it's multiplying. So I want to divide by negative 5 in order to get t by itself. And whatever I do to the right side, I have to do to the left side. So I'm also going to divide by negative 5 on the left side. Okay, so now I have t by itself on the right side. And 5 divided by negative 5 is going to give me negative 1. So my answer is t equals negative 1. All right, let's go ahead and try the one that's on the right. Let's do the same thing. So let's put a line through the equal sign. My variable's on the right-hand side. And let's look at what number is constantly alone. My 3 is alone. That's a positive 3, even though you don't see a positive symbol. It is a positive 3. And so to get rid of a positive 3, I'm going to subtract 3, and I got to do it on both sides. So a positive 3 and a negative 3 are going to cancel out. I'm going to copy the rest of my right-hand side of my equation down. And 11 minus 3 is going to give me 8. All right, so now I need to isolate my variable. K is being divided by -9. So in order to get K by itself, I have to do the inverse, the opposite of the current operation. So that means I need to multiply by 9. When I do it on, I need to multiply by -9. When I do it on the right-hand side, I get K by itself. And then when I do it on the left-hand side, I'm going to get 72 as my answer, -72 as my answer, okay? Because we have a negative times a positive, which is going to give me a negative answer. So K equals -72. If you have extra time while you're watching this video, we encourage you to check your work by plugging the value that you get for your variable back into the original equation. Sometimes there's no coefficient. What do I do in this situation? Okay, so if there is ever an invisible coefficient, then that means that the coefficient is a 1. So in this case right here, in front of the x, we can add a 1 to make the solving of this problem a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and add a 1 in front of my x, and that makes it a little bit easier to solve. But mathematically, when we're writing equations, if there isn't a coefficient in front of a variable, then that just means that the coefficient is 1. Mathematically, you don't have to write it if it's 1, but for us, we'll write it so that we can solve a little bit easier. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this equation. So let's put a line through the equal sign. Our variable is on the left-hand side, so that means that our constant is also on the left-hand side. That's a +4, okay, because it doesn't have a negative sign in front of it. That's a +4, so to get rid of +4, I'm going to subtract 4, and I've got to do it on both sides. So I'm going to bring down everything else that is on my left-hand side, so the -1x, and then 18 minus 4 is going to give me 14. Okay, so now I am not done because I have -1x equals 14. I don't want to know what -1x is. I want to know what 1x is. So in order to get just x, a positive x, I need to divide by -1. So I need to divide by -1 on both sides. And when I do that on the left-hand side, I get x by itself. And on the right-hand side, I get -14. Again, if you have extra time, it would be great for you to check your work by plugging -14 in for x in the original equation. What do I do when the coefficient is a fraction? To get rid of a fraction coefficient, you multiply by the reciprocal. Some teachers have called this the reciprocal. If that helps you remember what to do, but the proper term for this is reciprocal. So we're going to treat it just like we did the other equations. So go ahead and draw a line through your equal sign. My variable is on the left-hand side, so my constant is also on that side. My constant is 4, and it is being subtracted. So in order to get rid of it, I need to add 4, and I'm going to do that on the right-hand side as well. These cancel out. 16 plus 4 gives me 20, and I need to make sure I write down everything else that's on the left-hand side. Okay, so here is where what we just learned is going to come in handy. So our coefficient is a fraction. Don't freak out. It's all good. Don't let fractions intimidate you. They're not that bad, I promise. Okay, so in order to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is 3/2, and we need to do it on both sides. On the right-hand side, it's going to help you out if you put a 1 under that 20. And then let's go ahead and multiply by 3/2. Okay, on your left-hand side, 3/2 times 2/3 is going to give you 1. So these cancel out and you can just write the y on the left-hand side. Now, on the right-hand side, you're going to multiply across. So 20 times 3 gives you 60, and then 1 times 2 gives you 2. We are not done. We need to simplify. So 60 can be divided by 2, and that will give us our final answer. So y equals 30. How do you solve a complex equation? Okay, so this next one has a big bar, fraction bar. So the first thing that we need to do, since it has a big bar, and it's not just a fraction that's a coefficient or a fraction that's a constant, we want to first get rid of this fraction. Okay, so since, let's go ahead and draw our line through the equal sign. And since this fraction has a 5 in the denominator, then that means on the left-hand side, we're dividing by 5. In order to get rid of it, we need to multiply by 5 on both sides. Okay, so dividing by 5 and multiplying by 5, those are going to cancel out. So on the left-hand side, you have y plus 7. And then on the right-hand side, 20 times 5 gives me 100. Okay, now this looks a little bit better, a little bit easier. My variable is on my left-hand side, so that means my constant is also on that side. So my constant is 7, and it's being added in this equation. So in order to get rid of it, I can subtract by 7. And these are going to cancel out. Now on the left-hand side, I have y by itself. And on the right-hand side, I have 93. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video. Reach out to your teacher if you have any questions. I hope you have a great rest of your day.